video is going to be a fun one, especially for me. When I first got into golf equipment and things like that, it was roughly 2012, 2013. I was working at a place called the Swanson Golf Center. They were a top 100 club fitter. And man, I didn't have the money to buy all these really nice clubs that we were fitting for and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't have the money. I was fresh out of college, all that. But it's 10, 11 years later. Those clubs have kind of gone down in price. And I said, you know what? I really liked them. Let's go through them and see what we got here. Clubs that, were kind of out around that time that I was like, man, I really, really want these. So let's go through the bag. Let's see what we got here. So first up, 913 D3 driver. Man, our head pro and a couple of the guys, they were Titleist guys. And when these came in, everyone was so excited about them, from the legendary 910 to the 913. So that one was pretty cool. Everyone had a 910F, it was when I first started there, everyone had one of these. It was really cool. I love the shape of it. I thought one day I'll get a Titleist fairway wood like this. And here is the Titleist 910F for the irons. My favorite set of irons of all time were the I-20s. And when the I-25s came out, I was super excited about them. Again, couldn't afford them. But right here, we got a set 4 through 9. And then for the pitching wedge, we got this Adele wedge, which I always wanted to. The place I worked was an Adele fitter, and I always wanted an Adele wedge. So got one here as the pitching wedge. This wedge right here is actually kind of special to me. This was my father-in-law's. He gave it to me before he passed away, and I've pretty much had it in my possession. I played it for about 2-3 years. It's a special club to me. So really cool one there. 50 degrees of loft. So fits nicely with the 45-degree wedge here. But yeah, the Ping I-25 is just absolutely legendary. Forgot about the Burner Superfast 2.0 4 hybrid here. Pretty sweet club there. And then for the wedge, I got a 59-degree Adele wedge here. Now, this Adele wedge is pretty special, a little bit different than anything I would have gotten back in 2012. This one I actually got when I went to Adele and got my putter fitting done. I told them about how I was just looking at grinding my own wedges, and wouldn't you know, they gave me a blank, and I actually ground this one down myself, took it down to the right weight, glued it up. Don't pay attention to the shoddy handwork there. Just trying to put it together, but it is a 59-degree wedge that I got from Adele, hand ground by me. Super cool, something I would have loved to have done in 2012. And then for the putter, we got something pretty cool. Under a Stitch head cover, I just want to add that a Stitch head cover I would have killed for in 2012, 2013, 2014. Some really cool stuff there. Right here in the bag, we have this Kurt Curry putter. Now, this Brazos putter. Now, why a Kurt Curry in 2012, 2013? Why not a Scotty or something like that? Well, I'll tell you, in our pro shop, we had these at their raw length. So they would come in at like 40 inches, 42 inches, something ridiculous like that. And then what we would do is you'd fit somebody for them, and then you would just cut it down, and then we could change the lie really easily. The neck and hosel on this, really easy. It was also a face balance blade, right? If I let it go, a little bit of toe hang, but it was a face balance blade, and I used to just sit in the clubhouse with those 40-inch putters, and I would just take putts back and forth, and I always wanted one, but again, they were like $400. So I don't know why it was $400, but it was like $350, $375, something like that. Made in the USA. Really, really cool, beautiful putter here. Can't wait to use it today. Super excited about it. Clubs I'm going to use today to see if the clubs that I always wanted when I was much younger and couldn't afford, if they can compete with today's clubs. It's going to be a ton of fun. So last week I shot a 79 out here. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago I shot a 79 out here, which was a really good score for me out here. Probably the lowest I've ever shot out here. Maybe I've touched 78 before. I can't exactly remember, but with that being said, I wouldn't expect to go that low with these. I wouldn't expect to go that low with my own clubs most of the time. So we're not going to judge it against that. but somewhere in the 82, 83 range will be pretty good out here. So let's see how they do going forward. First real testy wedge with this hand grounded Dell wedge. Let's see how it does here. It didn't go well. I absolutely sculled it over the back of the green into a bunker. Sculled that shot over the green. Chipped it not very close. 2-putt double on hole 2 after a pretty good drive and a pretty good hybrid shot, I thought. And is the golf ball I'm playing. I tried to get some Pinta TPs, just didn't work out, couldn't get them in time. So I am playing the next closest thing, and that's going to be the TP5. So I remember loving playing the Pinta TP, the 5-piece golf ball from TaylorMade during the time. I love that thing. But I couldn't always afford it, right? So I would sometimes play the RBZ Urethane, RBZ Tour. Can't exactly remember what they called it, but I would say the equivalent of that now is going to be the Tour Response. So those are the golf balls we are playing today. We are playing the TP5 and the Tour Response. Wildly different golf balls, different budgets, and back then I would play what I could afford at the time. So let's see how it goes. I'm a third of the way through the round, so we have finished 6 holes out here today. And let's actually talk about what we are experiencing so far with these clubs. So let's talk about the good on these first 6 holes. The next 6, we'll kind of talk about the negatives and the things I haven't liked. But so far, let's talk about the good. Number 1 is the irons. The irons are everything I look for in irons. They look incredible. And compared to my Homas, I actually like the way these look a whole lot more. The Homas have this nice look from the back, you know, when you're kind of looking at the badging and that kind of stuff. It almost looks like a blade, but really when you look at those irons, they're kind of short and stubby a little bit. These Ping I-25s are sleek looking, thin top lines, but not muscle back thin where you start to get concerned that it gives you no forgiveness. There's enough confidence that you can have in this club. So really like the way they look, love the way they sound. They're performing pretty well. I'm hitting them pretty straight. They are a little bit shorter than my Homas. I would imagine that's probably down to ball speed, and it probably spins a little bit more. So especially out here in the wind, that is a little troubling, but we'll see how it goes from here. The other thing I really love about this is the putter. Guys, that putter just feels so nice. It sounds so wonderful. There's a small problem with it though. I haven't made many putts with it. It's been a lot of 2 putts out here. I haven't had many knee knockers, which is actually pretty good considering that if I'm lag putting it really well with it. So my second putts are constantly tap-ins that I don't really have to putt. On the last hole, I had about a 4 or 5 footer, and I did make that one. But just kind of waiting on the group in front of me. They sent me out as a single, and there's a group in front of me, just kind of knocking it around. I wasn't making many putts with it, so we'll continue to see how that goes as the round goes on. But it looks great. Feels great, sounds great, love everything about that putter. So let's see how the next 6 holes go. Here we go, after 12, let's talk about how we're feeling about this whole 10, 11, 12-year-old club set. I told you what I liked so far, and gotta say the iron's still really good. Putter's still really good. Wish the putter would make a few more putts, but lag putting really well. Let's talk about some of the things I don't like. Number 1 is that wedge, right? The one I did the grind on myself. I don't know if it's my wedge game right now or what, but it's not good today. It's costing me quite a few strokes. In terms of distance, everything is shorter, which, you know, kind of to be expected. The driver in particular feels a lot shorter than anything else. It's launching really high. I think it's got a decent amount of spin on it as well. So, you know, you can kind of see why Titleist kind of fell behind until the TS series, right? Until the TS came out, Titleist was kind of known as the players club, the one that you would kind of get if distance wasn't already a problem for you. But if you wanted a few more yards, you kind of went TaylorMade, Callaway, something like that. Yeah, this Titleist driver, you can tell how that reputation definitely started from there. But overall, set's pretty good, scoring decent with it as well, despite the problems with the wedge. So let's finish these last 6 and see how it goes. 7 irons, so we got about 12 years, 10, 12 years worth of technology, and you will see here, difference in ball speed is nil. So you'll see the Honma is just a little bit more consistent. Like the bad for the i25 is 101. The bad for the Honma is 102. But mostly hanging around 104, 105 ball speed wise. So a little bit more consistent there. The best with the i25 was probably the best swing of the day, 110.2. Really good stuff there. So plenty of ball speed on the i25. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. You lose about launch angle. The i25 launches significantly higher, about 2 degrees almost. In spin, it spins more by about 400 RPM, so about half a club there. So what's interesting about that is the higher launch, higher spin should result in shorter distances, even with the same ball speed. And that kind of plays out here in the 144 average, 145. So you get about a yard more rollout with the Honma, which isn't always the best thing with your irons. You'll see the standard deviation much closer with the Honma. Offline, the extra spin of the i25 does give us a little bit closer in the offline. Some of its bigger misses aren't as big, whereas this one, on the i25, the highest is the 17.4. The Honma hooked one pretty good, 30.4. The second highest being 19.6 yards left. So yeah, a little different there. So just something to be aware of there. Total spin, like I said, the standard deviation much lower on the i25. So you get more consistent ball speed with the Honma, whether you hit that thin, out on the toe, in the heel, whatever it is, versus the i25. But man, when you nuke this i25 is really good. It has the furthest one of the day, fastest ball speed. So despite all the years of technology, the i25 is pretty close. I'd give the advantage right now to the Honma, though. The consistent ball speed, the less spin, lower launch, less spin, given a little bit more distance. And I play where it gets kind of windy, so yeah, leaning towards the Honmas here. But man, those i25s are good, especially considering the age on them.